What is going on, guys? It is DigiWatch TCG coming to you with another deck profile. Now, this is the start of my series for the Ultimate Cup format. These are only going to be decks that I personally would be playing in the format, and I only do this because I know these decks a little bit more. I've been play testing them a lot more with my locals crew, as well as on Discord with some of the Discord groups. And so I will not be doing something like a red hybrid deck if I haven't been playing it. So this is the first one I'm considering for this format, and I'll be talking about my choices, my ratios, and everything that you would like to know with this deck. So anyway, we are going to be starting with the IMPERIALDRAMON deck here. And with that said, like, subscribe, leave your thoughts below, and let's get into it. So, as you can see here, we're running a 3-2 split of the Demi Vmons. Now, you could actually switch up this, or you could go straight up 4-1 if you want of the Vmons, Demi Vmons, because we aren't playing as many green cards. We can't play different colors, so Stingmons have been taken out of this deck, and I'll show you what I've played instead of it. And you may want to just run the jamming one if you try to make it more of a jamming type of build, which I would definitely recommend. I have still to make a perfect deck out of this, but I do think that it is a pretty good deck nonetheless. So we are running this ratio here, but of course you can make this one here, which is the draw one on jamming. If your Digimon is jamming, this is if you have a green Digimon in play, you can draw one. I think both of these still work, which is why I run it at 3-2 still. But I definitely think that this is you can make it depending on what your meta is. Next up, we are running 4 copies of the EX1 Vmon here. You do unsuspend quite a few times in this deck, and I would definitely say that this is a 4 of absolutely. I could put in one or two other cards, but I think that this is perfect as it is. I've never not liked to see it when I'm opening my hand, either putting in the Digimon field. Honestly, you could hard play this too for the version of the deck we're running. So I think 4 is completely fine. Going into our other 4 of is our new Vmon, the one we just got in BT12, which is this is the Vmon that's on play. You look at the top 3 cards, you could get an IMPERIALDRAMON or a free in traits to your hand, and a Davis, which we play basically all Davises, so you'll never whiff on it if you do get a tamer. And then end of turn DNA. That end of turn DNA is very important, which is why we run 4 of. It can digivolve from green or blue, but of course this is a blue version of the deck. So I do think that this is a very powerful card to play and absolutely necessary. You do want to hard play this most of the time, but either or, honestly, you can hard play it or put it in raising if you have your line already set up. Going into our non-4-ofs, I guess you could call them, are 2 copies of the starter deck Vmon. Or sorry, this is the BT8 Vmon. I apologize for that. This one is on play. Look at the top 4. Get a dual color card. We play a lot of dual colors, as you'll see soon. And this gets 1 more card in terms of reach. So I do play it at 2. I do think the Impmon that gets you a tamer and a free is better, because everything basically in our deck is a free, other than maybe 1 card. But this is a good way of grabbing you tamers if you need them, or Megadeths, which we do play in this deck as well. So I think 2 is completely fine. We also run 1 copy of the jamming Vmon. I could actually put this to 2. I definitely could see this going to 2, because there are definitely ways of doing two chip damage to your opponent with this. So you could run this card at more than 1, depending on the ratio and what you feel maybe doesn't work out for you. But yeah, we are playing basically a lot more Vmons than anything else. Lastly, we are only running 2 copies of Labramon. I still think that jamming, having the ability to gain a memory on attack with jamming is very important in this deck. And although we don't, we're running 2. The only reason we're running 2 is because we play a certain card in our level 4 lineup that can only digivolve onto blue. So and I mean, not sorry, that can only digivolve, has a green digivolution requirement. So we'll get into them in a moment. But usually, if you have, like, you have to look at your hand. It's like, okay, I have Labramon, and then I have one of my blue Digimon that I could just go on top of this with. That is usually the time you want to go in there. If you see your dual color green card, which I'll get to in a second, then you want to kind of avoid blocking your own zone for that. But that is our level 3 lineup there. Going into our level 4, I kind of want to just get this over with in terms of the card I decided to put in here. And that's 4 copies of Digimon. Now, this is a really good card because first off, it digivolves on top of Vmon, which is why we only play 2 copies of Labramon. But we also get to suspend their lower end guys. So any searchers, level 3s, anything like that, we can just suspend, swing over. It also has armor purge, which is really good sometimes. Like your opponent will not be able to get rid of your level 3 on the field. So sometimes if it's like maybe the second turn, you can digivolve your level 3 into your armor level 4, and it gets that protection to avoid getting deleted, which is good against decks like Beelzemon and War Greymon. Also, like I said, it has only, you can digivolve 2 over Vmon. But again, you cannot go over any blue. So if you have the Labramon here, you won't be able to go over it, which is unfortunate. But that's how this deck is functioning. So this is like our green source. This is the one that you actually would rather digivolve in racing, so you make sure you have a green. And ideally, the idyllic play here, honestly, is maybe putting this in raising and then digivolving in raising over on top of this, and then when it turns your turn, if you have like a memory tamer in play, you promote out, and then you bring out our other level 4, which we'll talk about in a moment here, which will allow you to DNA end of turn and get you to your level 5 by the end of your turn. But that is just like how I think of the deck, and it's been actually pretty consistent. I've won a lot of matches online with this against other Ultimate Cup decks. But let's get into more of the cards here. So we are running 4 copies of the new XVmon here. This is a really good card. This is part of the reason why this deck works so well, is because there's a lot of times you only need 3 memory, because if you get your memory tamer out, or if you get any way of getting to 3 memory, all you have to do is promote out that Digimon, and then you can hard play this, and even though it's 4 cost, you end up turn DNA. When you DNA, you gain back the memory, so it's only 3 really to use with this, and then your Digimon will get jamming, which is really good with this deck. So 4 of, absolutely. Now the next card can definitely be switched around whatever you like, and that is 1 copy of the XVmon, and we're going to actually talk about the other one here, which I'm considering is Lonamon. Now, what I like about both these cards are they both have the ability to give jamming. You can stick any level 3 from your hand underneath one of your other blue Digimon to give Lonamon jamming, so it's a good way of like digivolve on top of a tamer, swing, and you could maybe digivolve into a Ligdramon and DNA into your level 5 card. So that's something you may want to consider. But you could also cut this and just have the other XVmon here, because it is jamming. It works with the Labramon and your other cards that give you effects with jamming. So it depends on how you want to build the deck, but that is our level 4 lineup here. Going into a level 5, I will say that this is a bit toolboxy, so you could choose how you want to build this. Completely up to you. I'm going 3 Pyodramon here because it gives you that early game aggression. I like it because if you can do 1 check with maybe a jamming card first and then swing Digivolve into this, it can take care of 3 of your opponent's security, as long as it doesn't get deleted, of course. It bounces a level 6, or sorry, not level 6, a Digimon with 6,000 DP or less to the owner's hand. It unsuspends, which turns on the EX1 Vmon. So there are definitely different thought process with that. We are also playing 3 copies of Dino Beamon here. This is the new one, and this one also is really good. I actually love this card in terms of certain matchups. You can DNA from, again, from a green 4 and a green, a blue 4, and also the playstyle of this deck, sometimes you could just in raising Digivolve on top, you miss the effects, but you will be able to go into your IMPERIALDRAMON plays, which we'll talk about in a bit. But when you Digivolve, you can DNA. If you DNA, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, which is really good at getting rid of Digimon that has reboot or blockers on the field, and then this gains 3,000 for the turn, so it's automatically at least at 11,000 DP, and then it can attack one of your opponent's Digimon. So even if it passes turn somehow, for some reason, you can still attack one of your opponent's Digimon, and then as an inherited, if this is IMPERIALDRAMON, which it'll always be, or has free in its traits, And you delete the opponent's Digimon in battle. You could trash the top card of your opponent's security, which is good. So I really do like this. I could see people kind of mixing and matching certain level 5, so it's really up to you what you want to do, as long as they have a blue component to it. Which, lastly, we also play one copy of the IMPERIALDRAMON from BT12 as well. This one's this is like your toolbox spot, so it could be really whatever you like. This is good because you could trash top 3 from all your opponent's Digimon, so your opponent's entire field, which is good against Machinedramon. It's good against Beelzemon because it trashes cards and they don't get certain effects from it. And then if you DNA, you can 2 of your opponent's Digimon with no sources cannot attack. So if they made a wide board somehow, or they have extra cards out there, they get stunned. And then it has an inherited, which sometimes comes up, but end of attack, you can with it, if it has IMPERIALDRAMON or free in its traits, you gain 1 memory. So definitely a flex spot. You can put the other Dino Beam on here, the one that is from the starter deck, because it suspends their guy with the inability to unsuspend it during their unsuspend phase. So that could be something that is like in this place as well. It really just depends on what you consider to be the top meta in your area or in the Ultimate Cup format. So then we have our level 6s, and I will definitely say there's a lot of flexibility here. Definitely, your ratios should be the same, but I mean, your total should be the same, but your ratios could differ. And we're running 2 copies of the IMPERIALDRAMON Dragon Mode from BT12, but we're also running 2 copies of the starter deck IMPERIALDRAMON Dragon Mode. And I like this count because it just gives you the versatility to go wide when you need to, and the Dragon Mode also gives you the ability to suspend, unsuspend, and do your entire play here, which is kind of crazy. I love how this deck works so well with each other. But you could definitely cut one of these, put it over here, get the 3rd copy of the Dragon Mode. I just like to have that toolbox feeling, and I do still like the plays that we used to do in the old format where you would Digivolve on top of this, and then you go into another IMPERIALDRAMON. The only thing you just got to remember is that you're not playing as many green cards, so it might be not as necessary to go into this one. So again, you may want to cut it, put a 3rd one over here, or even put the IMPERIALDRAMON Fighter Mode, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But yeah, we have 2 and 2, and then lastly, of course, R2 here is the IMPERIALDRAMON Fighter Mode. Now, if you don't know what these cards do, I'll just really quickly explain what each one does. So first off, this one basically on Digivolve, you can take 1 blue level 4 or lower and 1 green level 4 or lower, and you can play them out from underneath its stack. For this one here, when Digivolving, for this one, let me see where, there we go. IMPERIALDRAMON Dragon Mode from BT12, you Digivolve from 3 over a IMPERIALDRAMON or Dino B, and then when Digivolving, if this has a green source, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, a blue source unsuspends itself, and then end of attack, you can Digivolve into a Digimon with IMPERIALDRAMON in its name for reduced cost of 2, which is why this combo works so well, because when you Digivolve into this and you swing and it survives, you can Digivolve into the Fighter Mode. Here, it has a special condition that lets you Digivolve on top of a Dragon Mode for a cost of 2. So you basically go into this for free. And then this one is when Digivolving, suspend all your opponent's Digimon with no sources, and then you can return one of your opponent's Digimon, suspended Digimon to the owner's hand, but if you put the Dragon Mode back into your hand, so if this is underneath it, and you bring it back to your hand, then you can bounce all their suspended Digimon to the bottom of their deck, which is really good at clearing out a field. And this card here destroys Mother D Reaper, so it's really good. And then all turns, if it has 1000 DP for... it gets 1000 DP for each color underneath it, which most of the time will be a green and a blue, so you'll get 2000 additional DP. And then while it has 2 or more colors, it gets security +1 and blocker, so it will be blocker, security +1, which makes it good offensive and defense. So I think this is a good count, but again, I would maybe change the Dragon Mode from the starter deck to maybe one of BT12. Now going over the Tamers real quick, we are going to be running 2 copies of the BT3 Davis. This is the Memory Tamer Davis. It's really good. I think 2 is just fine, but you could up it to 3 if you like. it gets you a green and a blue, and again, a lot of your stuff are dual color, so you get usually hit 2 off this. There's so many times this comes out, and I'm like, yes, I pulled 2 cards out of my deck that I really needed, or at least have for backup. We are running 2 copies of the Davis and Ken. This is the BT8 card. If you have a green Digimon in play, you gain 1 memory. If you have a blue one, you gain 1 memory, so you can gain 2 potentially. Also, if you Digivolve into a Digimon with 2 or more colors, you can suspend this tamer to unsuspend it. So it works really well with the fighter mode, being able to Digivolve on top of dragon mode, and then you tap the tamer to unsuspend fighter mode to do either piercing, swing for game, do more checks, whatever your little heart desires. We are running 3 copies of the Davis from the BT12. This sometimes comes up. It's really there for giving you the extra memory, but occasionally the when attacking effect occurs. So if you don't know, during your main phase, if you have a Digimon with free traits or a tamer with Ken Ichijoji and it's in play, you gain 1 memory. So if you have this one over here, this counts as Ken Ichijoji. So you can start at 4 memory regardless if you bring out a blue Digimon or not. And then your turn, when one of your dual colors attacks, you can tap the tamer, Digivolve into a dual color IMPERIALDRAMON from your hand for paying its cost. So that comes up sometimes, but not all the time. Honestly, it's more like you attack and then you Digivolve, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and on the attack it unsuspends itself, so you get another check out of it. But yeah, this is our tamer count. I think it's fine. You can adjust the ratio as needed. You can put in another Davis and memory tamer of Davis instead. Whatever you'd like. And then for the options, we're playing 1 Ice Wall because it's blue. 2 Hammer Sparks here. I think it's good because sometimes you need that 1 extra memory, and usually what I like to do, believe it or not, is hold this in hand until it's really necessary, until the last turn, because sometimes your opponent will play something like Hades Force, kill all your tamers, or just be a way of choking you really, really low, and Hammer Spark sometimes just gives you that 1 extra memory you needed. So really think that it's good. I might even up it depending on what I might consider taking out from this deck. Then we have 2 Megadeths. Again, you can adjust the ratio as needed. You can put more of, but I do think this is just good removal in general. It doesn't target a level, which is good against Mother D Reaper, and it just gets rid of other problematic cards in the format. Then lastly, this is probably going to be the one that a lot of people can play something else instead. I'm playing 2 copies of Howling Memory Boost for two main reasons. First reason is that it works well with the Pyojamon that stuns, because you can strip 2 sources, and then via its own effect, the Pyojamon, you can strip 3 more sources, so you're actually stripping 5 playing this card on one of your opponent's Digimon, which is really good. Additionally, it does give you a stun on one of their Digimon if it's a low enough level Digimon, so maybe they go into level 4, level 5, and you can strip 2 sources, and they end up having no sources at all. So you could definitely do that, and I definitely think that this is a good card. It gets rid of stuff from Machinedramon, gives you 2 extra memory, gain 2 memory, but you could also put in the memory, the other one, the what's it? Oh my god, I'm blanking on the name right now. The Howling, the blue memory boost. And play that one instead, and that's totally fine. Definitely up to you what you want to do in terms of that. But yeah, this is my build for IMPERIALDRAMON. I've played it online. Honestly, I'm very surprised of how well it's doing in an Ultimate Cup type of matchup. And I definitely will be adjusting the ratio slightly to adjust it to what I feel is working, what's not working. But it's surprisingly better. Good. And I would just say try it out. Honestly, if you are in multiple Ultimate Cups, maybe try this in your first or second one. And if you don't do well, then you don't need to play it again. But in my testing, I've just done really, really well with it. But anyway, that's all I have for you for today. As always, stay classy.